Hidden beneath layers of jungle vegetation and centuries of silence lies the legacy of a civilization that once gazed at the stars and saw more than just light. They saw order, destiny, and the divine. The Maya did not simply build structures, they built meaning. Without wheels, beasts of burden, or metal tools, they erected cities that challenged time itself. Their understanding of the cosmos rivaled anything modern astronomy has to offer. They mapped the sky with a precision that still baffles scientists, recording eclipses, solstices, and planetary movements on stone, as if guided by forces beyond this world. What remains is not only a collection of ruins, but a spiritual code etched into their environment. Walking through the remnants of temples, deciphering glyphs in crumbling codices, or listening to the echoes of ancestral stories passed down through generations, one begins to grasp the profound wisdom that shaped one of the most complex cultural systems in the ancient world. The Maya civilization was not just a chapter in history, it was a worldview, a rhythm of life in tune with the heavens. The story of the Maya begins more than 3 millennia ago, in the humid lowlands and mountain valleys of what is now southeastern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Small nomadic tribes, drawn by fertile soil and rivers that shimmered through dense forests, began to settle and cultivate the land. Chief among their crops was maize, not just a source of sustenance, but a sacred plant that would shape their identity, rituals, and economy. These early villages slowly evolved into more structured communities. Huts became aligned around shared spaces, and the first social rituals took root. As agricultural yields increased, so did population, leading to more complex social hierarchies. Some families began to control food surpluses and sacred knowledge, rising to prominence as interpreters of natural cycles. Over time, these roles became institutionalized, forming the foundations of governance and religious authority. The Maya world didn't emerge overnight. It was the result of countless generations experimenting, adapting, and believing. Theirs was a gradual organic rise, a civilization that grew not just in physical size, but in philosophical and spiritual depth. By 1000 BCE, the first significant urban centers began to emerge in the lowland regions. Among them, Nakbe stood as an early example of Maya urban planning, but it was El Mirador that truly marked a turning point. Its colossal pyramids and sprawling plazas, rising from the jungle canopy, defied expectations of what a so-called pre-classic society could achieve. The scale and organization suggested not just advanced construction techniques, but a sophisticated political and spiritual system. El Mirador was home to an elite class, with established rulers, ritual leaders, and early scribes, shaping a nascent writing system that would evolve into the famed Maya hieroglyphics. These cities were more than just population centers. They were spiritual engines, designed to align human activity with cosmic cycles. The appearance of monumental architecture, centralized planning, and symbolic iconography indicated the rise of a civilization with a clear vision of its place in the universe. It was here that the seeds of the Mayas' enduring legacy were sown, combining astronomy, theology, and governance into an intricate cultural framework. Rather than forming a single centralized empire like Rome or Egypt, the Maya created a vast network of independent city-states, each with its own dynasties, deities, and ceremonial calendars. Cities such as Tikal, Copan, and Palenque became cultural beacons, connected not by conquest but by shared language, beliefs, and rituals. Although each city held political autonomy, they participated in a common worldview, one where celestial events guided earthly decisions and rulers were seen as divine mediators. These city-states often engaged in diplomatic marriages, traded luxury goods like jade and cacao, and sometimes waged wars to assert dominance or control trade routes. Yet, they remained united by a deep spiritual cohesion. From the intricate glyphs carved into stone monuments to the recurring motifs in temple murals, there was a clear resonance of shared cosmology. It was this unity of thought rather than force that held the Maya world together, a web of ideas and sacred time that stretched across hundreds of miles, binding people to stars, gods, and each other. Before we continue exploring the incredible legacy of the Maya civilization, take a moment to support this journey through time. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more stories that reveal the hidden truths of ancient cultures, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us grow and keeps these powerful histories alive and accessible to everyone. Together, we can keep uncovering the wisdom of the past and bringing it into the light. The Classic period, spanning roughly from 250 to 900 CE, marked the golden age of Maya civilization. During these centuries, the cities blossomed into architectural marvels and intellectual centers. Massive stone temples towered above thick jungle foliage, while palaces, observatories, and ball courts dotted the ceremonial landscapes. This was a time of artistic brilliance, scientific advancement, and political drama. The Maya developed one of the most complex writing systems in the ancient world, carving their histories into stele and temple walls with astonishing precision. Kings and queens weren't merely rulers. They were historians, commissioning records of their lineages, victories, and divine connections. These inscriptions included exact dates, celestial alignments, and detailed accounts of warfare, diplomacy, and ritual. The Maya understood themselves as part of a cosmic narrative. Time, for them, was sacred. Their calendars did more than track days. They aligned the earthly realm with the movements of the heavens. Every major decision, from coronations to battles, was rooted in careful astronomical calculations. Their cities were not just population centers, they were gateways to the divine. Maya rulers embodied more than political authority. They were seen as vital conduits between humanity and the gods. Their legitimacy derived not only from bloodlines, but from their ability to uphold cosmic harmony. This belief gave rise to elaborate ceremonies in which rulers performed ritual acts to ensure balance between realms. Among the most powerful were the city-states of Tikal and Calakmul, whose rivalry spanned over a century. Their conflicts weren't just territorial, they were cosmic battles, with each side vying to control not only land and resources, but spiritual destiny. Strategic alliances, royal marriages, and cycles of warfare defined the political landscape. Smaller cities often shifted allegiances, swayed by military victories, economic pressures, or divine omens. Despite the political turbulence, the Maya world remained spiritually unified. Even today, descendants of these people speak languages derived from the ancient tongue, maintain ritual practices, and honor the rhythms of the cosmos. What survived wasn't a single kingdom, but a cultural fabric woven from shared myths, sacred time, and an enduring reverence for the stars. At the core of Maya spirituality was their intricate understanding of the cosmos. The stars were not distant objects. They were guides, storytellers, and gods in motion. Each celestial body had meaning, and its movements shaped human affairs. Their sacred calendar, the Tzolkin, was a 260-day cycle that influenced daily life, rituals, and governance. Time was not viewed linearly but cyclically, divided into immense spans called baktuns, each lasting over 394 years. Every baktun was believed to carry a cosmic purpose, overseen by specific deities who governed its. These cycles were not abstract concepts, but lived realities. For the Maya, aligning one's actions with the cosmic rhythm was essential to maintaining harmony on Earth. Through observatories, priests tracked solstices, equinoxes, and lunar phases. When to plant, when to go to war, when to crown a ruler, every decision flowed from the sky. Their rituals, calendars, and monuments were not just cultural artifacts. They were tools to sustain balance between worlds, to listen to the voices of the stars, and to walk in step with the sacred dance of time. Their cosmology described the universe as divided into three interconnected realms: the heavens, the world of the living, and the underworld, known as Xibalba. These planes were linked by a central axis, the sacred world tree, or Waka-chan. Often depicted as a saber tree, its roots plunged deep into the underworld, its trunk bridged the human realm, and its branches reached skyward to cradle the stars. This tree was more than a symbol. It was a cosmic pathway connecting all layers of existence. Deities were not distant or passive, they were active forces in daily life. Some gods had multiple aspects and names, embodying different energies. Among the most revered was Itsamna, the creator god and patron of wisdom, and Chak, the rain deity essential for agricultural survival. The Maya didn't see the underworld as a place of eternal punishment, but as a domain of trials, renewal, and transformation. Myths like the Popol Vuh, the sacred Kicha book, told stories of hero twins who descended into Xibalba, overcame death through wit and sacrifice, and rose again as the sun and moon. These narratives were not just tales, they were blueprints for cosmic balance. Rituals were the sacred glue that bound the Maya to their gods, the stars, and each other. Every aspect of life, from planting corn to declaring war, was accompanied by ceremony. At the center of these rituals was blood, regarded not as violence but as sacred energy. For the Maya, blood contained chulel, the life force that nourished the universe. Offering it was not a punishment but a profound act of reciprocity. Kings, queens, and priests often practiced auto-sacrifice, piercing their tongues, ears, or even genitals with obsidian blades to spill blood on bark paper, which was then burned so the smoke could carry the offering to the heavens. These acts were public, solemn, and deeply symbolic. Altar carvings, codices, and temple murals depict these moments, not as grotesque spectacles, but as transformations, moments where the human spirit touched the divine. Animal sacrifices also occurred, but it was human blood, especially that of rulers, that held the greatest spiritual weight. Without these rituals, the Maya believed, the gods would grow weak and the balance of the cosmos would crumble. Precision was everything. The right time, the right place, the correct posture and words. Nothing was left to chance. Temples and pyramids weren't merely architectural feats. They were sacred instruments designed to mirror and channel the cosmos. Each level of a stepped pyramid represented a plane of existence, underworld, earth, and sky. Their alignment with solstices, equinoxes, and constellations was intentional, transforming architecture into a calendar of stone. Inside these structures, often shrouded in total darkness, rituals unfolded under the guidance of priests wielding incense, conch-shell trumpets, and sacred texts. They followed the rhythm of the 260-day ritual calendar, with each day holding its own energy and influence. Major decisions, from succession to war declarations, were timed according to these readings. The Maya developed not just one calendar but several: the solar harb, the sacred Tzolkin, and the long count, which tracked cycles across thousands of years. Their synchronization remains one of the most advanced calendrical systems ever devised. Remarkably, some events predicted centuries ago align precisely with modern astronomical occurrences. Far from a relic of the past, their system reflected a profound understanding of time, not just as measurement, but as spirit. For the Maya, time didn't pass. It breathed, circled, and spoke. Even after centuries of conquest, colonization, and societal change, Maya traditions persist in the daily lives of their descendants. In remote villages across Chiapas, Guatemala, and the Yucatan Peninsula, ceremonies continue to honor maize, the sacred sustenance of their Ancestors. Days are still chosen based on the Tzolk'in calendar, and offerings are made to both ancestors and natural forces. Time, as always, is seen not as linear progression, but as cyclical return. Modern Maya communities maintain this worldview with a quiet resilience, blending the ancient with the present. Elders pass down sacred knowledge orally, planting rituals, healing chants, and seasonal wisdom that never found its way into colonial records but lives on in memory. This continuity is not accidental. It is a deliberate act of cultural preservation. In the same way that temples once rose above the jungle canopy, these practices stand as living monuments to a civilization that refused to be erased. Their endurance is a reminder that while empires may fall, identity can persist when rooted in the cycles of nature and the spirit of a people. Beneath the towering pyramids and stone inscriptions lived the true architects of Maya civilization. The people, farmers, artisans, and spiritual guides formed the foundation of society. Their roles were not incidental, but central to the functioning of the Maya world. The social structure was highly organized, with each group occupying a distinct and purposeful place in the cosmic order. At the top stood the Kuhul Ajau, the sacred king, not elected but born into a divine bloodline. He was not only a political leader, but also a warrior, astronomer and priest, charged with interpreting divine signs and sustaining harmony between worlds. His attire, adorned with jade and quetzal feathers, reflected his sacred status, and his likeness was immortalized in stelae as a guardian of cosmic balance. Surrounding the king were nobles, each with specialized duties. Priests interpreted calendar cycles and led ceremonies. Astronomers watched the skies, and elite warriors led conquests and captured sacrificial victims. These roles were not mere privileges, they were obligations rooted in divine responsibility. Even noble marriages were timed according to celestial patterns, viewed as sacred unions that echoed the very structure of the universe. At the heart of the Maya economy were the campesinos, the farmers whose knowledge and labor sustained the civilization. They cultivated maize, beans, chili, avocado, cotton, and cacao, using a system of rotating plots called milpas. This agricultural method was not only productive, but ecologically sustainable, preserving soil fertility and biodiversity. The campesinos possessed a deep understanding of the land, weather, and seasonal cycles, passed down orally through generations. Their work wasn't purely physical, it was spiritual. Every planting and harvest was accompanied by ritual offerings, prayers to deities, and observance of auspicious dates from the sacred calendar. In their homes, small altars honored household gods, ancestral spirits, and natural forces. Women often maintained these shrines, lighting incense, placing flowers, and preserving the ritual hearth. Maya spirituality permeated daily life. It lived in the smoke rising from kitchens, the respectful way one stepped into the fields, and the songs sung at dawn. The sacred was not locked in temples. It was in every act of living. Women, in particular, held the role of spiritual custodians within the home, safeguarding traditions through everyday devotion and transmitting them quietly yet powerfully through generations. Urban Maya life was vibrant, orderly, and purposeful. Cities were not chaotic. Expansions of stone but carefully planned environments. Elevated roads called sakbiob connected ceremonial centers, administrative quarters, and marketplaces. Skilled artisans were organized into guilds and specialized in various crafts: stone carving, ceramic production, featherwork, and weaving. Many were sponsored by nobles and created masterpieces destined for ritual use or historical commemoration. Justice, while lacking a formal police system, was administered communally. Offenses were judged based on severity, with punishments ranging from labor service to capital consequences for the gravest crimes. Laws were passed orally, embedded in community expectations and reinforced through religion. Life wasn't all work. Leisure and celebration were essential components of Maya society. The Pok to Pok, a ceremonial ball game, dramatized the eternal struggle between light and darkness, often played in courts flanked by towering walls and watched by cheering crowds. Some matches had ritual significance, others were purely recreational. Music, dance, storytelling, and seasonal festivals colored the calendar, creating a rich tapestry of joy, discipline, and meaning. This balance between structure and spontaneity made Maya cities not just centers of power, but places where life pulsed with purpose. We've uncovered so much about the Maya, from their sacred calendars to their everyday lives and cosmic beliefs. If you've made it this far, we'd love to hear from you. What part of this ancient world fascinated you the most? Leave us a comment sharing your thoughts and let us know which civilization or historical mystery you'd like us to explore next. Your feedback not only helps guide our next stories, it helps keep history alive and relevant for everyone watching. Maya medicine was another profound blend of science and spirituality. Far from being primitive, their healing practices were grounded in careful observation, herbal knowledge, and ceremonial tradition. Healers, often referred to as H-men, were respected community figures who combined botanical expertise with ritual power. They knew the properties of hundreds of plants and employed them in teas, salves, and steam baths known as temazcales. Illness was understood not only as a physical imbalance, but often as a disruption in spiritual or cosmic harmony. Treatments therefore included not just herbal remedies, but also prayers, offerings, and symbolic cleansings. Some ailments were believed to stem from the loss or weakening of the chulel, the vital energy present in all beings. Rituals were performed to restore this life force, sometimes involving chanting, smoke cleansing, or contact with sacred objects. This integrative view of health has endured, with many indigenous communities today still relying on ancestral remedies. The resilience of this tradition speaks not only to its effectiveness, but to the enduring Maya worldview, where body, soul, and cosmos are inseparably linked. A vision of healing that honors both nature and spirit. Archaeological research in modern Maya communities has revealed something remarkable. The ancient social fabric never truly unraveled. While cities may have crumbled and empires fallen, the essence of Maya life adapted and endured. Many contemporary villages maintain communal decision-making, calendar-based rituals, and agricultural techniques that trace directly back to the classic period. Maize, more than a crop, remains a sacred bond between people and earth. The rhythms of planting and harvest continue to follow celestial guidance in daily practices, from the preparation of traditional foods to the quiet reverence of sacred places. The Maya identity persists, not as a relic, but as a living legacy. It's a continuity not preserved in textbooks, but carried through oral history, ceremony, and community memory. This cultural endurance defies the assumption that the Maya vanished. What collapsed was a political structure, not a people. Through adaptation and resilience, they preserved their essence. They are not echoes of the past, they are voices of the present, speaking in Mayan languages, sowing ancient fields, and guarding a worldview that remains as alive as the jungle that once covered their cities. The decline of the classic Maya civilization, which began around the end of the 8th century, was neither sudden nor singular in cause. For generations, archaeologists searched for a single catastrophe, an invasion, a pandemic, natural disaster, but the truth revealed something far more complex, a slow unraveling of systems pushed to their limits. Inscriptions on stelae became less frequent, public ceremonies dwindled, and great temples fell into disrepair. In the southern lowlands, once home to the most powerful city-states, the collapse was especially stark. Within just a few generations, vibrant urban centers like Tikal and Copan were abandoned. Grand plazas that had once echoed with music, ritual, and political discourse became eerily silent. The reasons were multifaceted. Environmental strain from deforestation and overuse of agricultural land, extended periods of drought, and an over-reliance on fragile political alliances. As crop yields fell and resources grew scarce, the ruling elite's inability to maintain cosmic order eroded their legitimacy. Civil wars and shifting allegiances added further instability. What crumbled wasn't just infrastructure, it was belief. The deeply embedded spiritual and political framework fractured under the weight of unmet expectations and ecological limits. The sacred trust between rulers and the divine had been the foundation of Maya governance. When kings could no longer predict the rains, secure harvests, or maintain peace, their connection to the cosmos was questioned. The collapse was as much ideological as it was material. Ritual calendars lost their guiding power, alliances turned into rivalries, and once loyal subjects turned away from temples that no longer delivered divine favor. The Ajor, once revered as the axis between worlds, now stood vulnerable before a disillusioned population. Some cities attempted to adapt, modifying political structures or forging new coalitions, but many succumbed to the cascading failures. Urban centers were gradually reclaimed by the jungle, their majestic pyramids hidden beneath vines and trees. And yet, this was not the end. Maya society did not vanish, it transformed. Communities migrated, merged, and restructured. In the northern Yucatan, cities like Chichen Itza rose to prominence, blending classical elements with new cultural influences. The Maya did what they had always done. They endured through transformation. What many perceived as a collapse was, in truth, an evolution, a passage from one era into another, carried not by ruins but by resilient hearts and living traditions. The myth that the Maya disappeared is just that, a myth. Though their cities fell and empires dissolved, the Maya people never ceased to exist. Today, they live in the highlands and lowlands of Central America, in towns and rural communities where Mayan languages are still spoken and ancestral customs are alive. They plant maize as their ancestors did, observe sacred days and consult the stars. They are not the past, they are the continuation of a legacy thousands of years old. Chichen Itza and other post-classic centers incorporated both classical Maya traditions and innovations inspired by new regional influences. These were not the ruins of a dead culture, but stages of a living one, adapting to a changed world. What has endured is not just architecture or mythology, but a way of life, an integrated worldview that sees no separation between the sacred and the ordinary. The Maya identity is carved not only in stone, but in the language, land, and collective memory of those who carry their lineage forward. They are not ghosts of history, they are guardians of its flame. Studying the Maya isn't just uncovering the past, it's about understanding how culture survives, evolves, and continues to shape the present. Through conquest, marginalization, and centuries of neglect, the Maya have endured by preserving what truly matters, their connection to time, to nature, and to each other. Their calendars still guide lives, their stories still teach lessons, and their voices continue to be heard across forests, villages, and classrooms. They are not museum pieces. They are people with living knowledge, ancestral pride, and an unwavering sense of place. Their civilization didn't end. It changed form, found new roots, and continues to speak in symbols, rituals, and language. And if you've made it this far into their story, thank you for joining us in honoring their legacy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support our work so we can keep bringing stories like this to light. We post new videos every single day, and your engagement helps us reach more curious minds around the world. Let's keep learning together.